It can be overwhelming to navigate the landscape of nutritional do's and don'ts. So let me guide you through my tier list for the most popular diet metas in the current patch. We have been living in the low carb, low processed food patch for a while now. Yet with so many players hooked on the carb quest line, it's no shock that the low carb meta isn't the end game for everyone. I will be ranking these diets based on satiety, flexibility, energy, cost efficiency, resistance, and happiness. It's not an exhaustive list of attributes, but it's the perfect starter pack for your character's health build. First up, we have the Western diet, or better known as the American diet. Unfortunately, there is no lower tier than the trash tier. There isn't much else to say here. Next up, we have a diet, or I'm not sure if it qualifies as a diet really. It's like a low-level player trying to create a meta-defining build. It ain't gonna happen. This diet is the raw food diet. I don't have to go into details here, but on the list of forbidden foods in this diet is coffee. This goes straight to trash tier. Slightly better than the Western diet because f that. Similarly, the next diet is a diet chosen by people who were forced to play the human class. They secretly wish to play the orc or the barbarian class, the carnivore diet. Nothing much to say here, they only eat meat, no fruits, and no veggies. I have only one question here. What about fibers? Our high-level players and sages have shown time and time again that fibers are super important, as we can see here. It's very important for the digestion attribute. It also helps regulate our character's body use of sugar, which is very important for the energy attribute. So trash tier it is. It's a hard decision though, if it's better or worse than the Western diet. It's a really tough decision. But I think it's slightly better than the Western diet. Next up, we have Paleo diet. It's one of the very old metas that keep surfacing from time to time. It has been part of the human class lore for a long time now. This is how the early patches of the human class used to eat around 10,000 years ago. If you don't know this diet, it's where you only eat whole foods and low processed foods, which is great for our stats, but I doubt earlier patches of human class had Wendy's. But it had one caveat though, it's low carbs. Carbs were not introduced in these early patches, so it's very low in flexibility, energy, happiness, but very high in cost efficiency and satiety, since you're only eating low calorie dense food. It's a very old meta and I don't think it's viable anymore. Who wants to eat low carbs anyway? And according to our sages, we can see clearly that being rigid in your diet class can only lead to rage quitting. So it's better to choose a diet with high flexibility attribute. So I would say this is a C tier diet since it's doing well in 2 stats. Now this one is a bit controversial. So many players are building their character using this diet and it became sort of a meta itself. It has many defenders and they like to PvP a lot with other players. This diet is Keto diet. It's high fat, high protein and low carbs diet. Even though I said the new meta is a high carb meta, it sure seems like there are a lot of low carb meta going around. But unlike the other low carb diets on this list, Keto has a special place. It has a very loyal player base. They swear that it can bypass the server's hack defenses and protect your characters from the current obesity, heart disease, and cancer disaster expansion. Unfortunately, they don't have any evidence. They have been proven wrong many times by our sages, but they don't like to listen. What we can give them though is that it's very similar to high carb diets when it comes to building muscle stats. But it falls short in flexibility since you are only eating high fat, low carb food, which is mostly butter. Also sustainability because who can keep eating butter every day? And cost efficiency because butter isn't cheap. And nutritional value because your character needs fibers, but quite high in the satiating attribute since you are eating only fats and protein. While quite satiating and might increase your resistance attribute, you might get some carbs craving, which can lower your resistance attribute quite significantly. So I would rank this as a solid C tier, just so I don't get traded by the Keto player base. But it's a bit worse than Paleo for sure. Our next 2 diets are very similar and their player base mainly do it for 2 reasons. One, they are very sympathetic to the other animal classes and they don't want to see them get farmed for XP. The second reason is that the current data center we play on is getting maxed out because of all our activities and we might experience a meltdown very soon and wipe out all the characters on the servers. So they're trying to lessen the impact on the servers so we don't lose our characters. However, it seems like the top 1% richest players in the servers are consuming 60% of the server's capacity, but that's a problem for another time. These 2 diets are vegan and vegetarian diets. The only difference between them is vegetarian diet doesn't really care much about the fish class or the loot of the chicken class, so they don't mind farming that. So I would say this is a very solid A tier for the attempt to protect the servers, but they are lacking in cost efficiency because our sages still have to figure out a way to make animal XP alternatives cheaper than animal XP and slightly lower in the nutritional value attribute because of the lack of some vital vitamins like B12, which can be fixed in upcoming patches, or if you want a quick hack right now, you can get a supplement consumable. But until they are patched, I would give them B tier. And finally, the Mediterranean diet, a well-researched and holistic approach to eating, making it the only S tier diet. It's versatile, affordable, nutrient-rich, and happiness-boosting. If you don't know it, it's a low-processed food, but moderate to high carbs with a moderate amount of dairy, poultry, and eggs. So, very well-balanced diet. And no, I'm not biased because I come from the Mediterranean server. I'm just presenting the facts here. Remember though, the best diet is the one tailored to your character's needs. You can make most diets S tier. And please, if you experience any urgent technical issues, contact one of the doctor admins. Thanks for watching, and until next time.